My mom sold Grandpa's war medals for cryptocurrency. Hey Reddit, I've been sitting here for hours, trying to find the right words to explain what's happening. This whole situation feels like something out of a bad movie, unbelievable, surreal, and honestly, heartbreaking. But I'm going to try to tell it as clearly as I can, because I need to get this off my chest. A bit of background first. My grandpa was a World War II veteran. When I was a kid, he didn't say much about the war. In fact, he rarely talked about it at all, but the few stories he did share left a deep impression on me. He was a humble man, quiet and reserved, but you could tell from his demeanor that he carried a lot of pride and weight from his time serving his country. His medals were a big deal in our family, not because they were flashy or valuable, but because they were a physical reminder of the sacrifices he made and the hardships he endured. Grandpa kept those medals in a simple wooden box, carefully arranged and polished, and it sat on the top shelf in my mom's house for as long as I can remember. Every time I saw that box, it felt like a bridge to the past, a connection to a man I admired, even though I never really knew him deeply. When he passed away a few years ago, the medals became even more important. They were part of his legacy, something my mom promised to keep safe. I always respected that. To me, the medals weren't just old pieces of metal. They represented courage, family history, and values that were passed down through generations. Growing up, I'd sometimes ask my mom about those medals or about Grandpa's stories, and she would get quiet, sometimes nostalgic. She said the medals meant a lot to her too, a way to remember my grandpa and what he stood for. For a long time, I thought the medals would be there forever untouched, preserved, a sacred family treasure. But lately, things started to change. About a month ago, I noticed my mom was spending an unusual amount of time glued to her phone and computer. At first, I thought she was just browsing social media or catching up on news like anyone else. But soon, it became clear she was obsessed with something new: cryptocurrency. She started devouring everything she could find on the subject. Online articles, YouTube tutorials, Telegram groups, and forums. It was like she had fallen into a whole new world. She was fascinated by stories of people turning small investments into fortunes overnight. I tried to stay neutral, but I was skeptical. Crypto markets are notoriously volatile and risky. Still, my mom was convinced this was the future, the next big thing that could change our lives. She told me she wanted to get ahead and secure a better future for us. She even borrowed money from some relatives, promising she would pay it back once her investments grew. I warned her about the dangers, that the market could crash, that scams were everywhere, and that there was no guarantee she'd make any money at all. But my words didn't seem to sink in. She was caught up in the hype and excitement. Her conversations changed too. Instead of talking about family or everyday stuff, she spoke about wallets, coins, blockchains, and tokens. She was tracking prices obsessively and checking her portfolio multiple times a day. It was as if her whole world had shifted to this digital frenzy. I was worried. I could see the stress in her eyes, the pressure she put on herself to succeed in this new gamble. I wish she'd take a step back and think it through, but she wouldn't listen. She kept telling me, if you don't adapt, you get left behind. I had no idea how deep this was going to go. Last week, my mom told me she had found a way to get some quick cash to invest more into cryptocurrency. She was vague about what exactly she was selling, just that it was something old, and that it would help her double down on her investments. I didn't think much of it at the time. Maybe some old jewelry or collectibles she had lying around. But today, when I went over to her house, something felt off. The wooden box that had held my grandpa's war medals for decades was missing from the top shelf where it always sat. I asked her where it was, and she hesitated, looking uncomfortable. When I pressed her further, she finally admitted the truth. She had sold the medals. I was stunned. The words caught in my throat. I couldn't believe she had done something like that without even telling me. She said she sold the medals to buy cryptocurrency because that's a better investment than letting those old things gather dust. She showed me some transaction records, digital wallet addresses, confusing strings of letters and numbers, screenshots of coin exchanges. It all looked like a foreign language to me. I tried to explain that those medals weren't just old stuff to be flipped for profit. They were part of our family's history, a symbol of Grandpa's courage and sacrifice. But she was firm. Times change, she said. You have to move forward. Those medals don't pay the bills or put food on the table. I wanted to scream, to make her see what she had done, But all I could do was sit there, stunned and heartbroken, as she talked about her investment strategy and the potential gains. I'm scared those metals are gone forever, maybe melted down or lost in some online transaction that can't be reversed. It feels like we lost a piece of our soul. After I found out about the metals, the atmosphere in the family quickly changed. News spread fast among relatives and opinions were divided. Some people tried to be understanding, saying that times are hard and Mom was just trying to do what she thought was best. Others were furious. They called it disrespectful, reckless, even cruel. I felt torn in two. On one hand, I didn't want to completely alienate my mom. I understood she was under a lot of pressure, trying to navigate a complicated and uncertain financial world. But on the other hand, it felt like she had betrayed the family's trust and legacy. Conversations with her became strained. When I tried to bring up the metals, she'd brush it off or change the subject. She seemed convinced that cryptocurrency was the way forward, and that clinging to old memories wouldn't help anyone survive today's world. Even other family members started treating her differently. Some stopped inviting her to gatherings. Others whispered behind her back. The house that was once full of warmth now felt cold and heavy. I struggled with feelings of anger, sadness, and helplessness. The metals weren't just metal to me, they were a part of who we were. And now, they were gone. Sold for a gamble in a digital market that could vanish overnight. I wanted to find a way to fix things, but I wasn't sure how. I don't want this to tear my family apart. I love my mom, and I know she didn't sell the metals out of spite or malice. She was desperate, caught up in a world she barely understood, but hoped would save us. But it still hurts deeply. I keep thinking about the metals, about Grandpa, about what those metals represented. It wasn't just about the metal or the money. It was about memory, sacrifice, and respect. Those metals were a bridge to the past, and now that bridge feels broken. I've tried talking to my mom again, trying to understand her point of view and explain mine without anger. It's not easy. She's defensive, convinced she did what was necessary. I'm trying to find a way to heal this wound, but it feels like the family is fractured. I'm reaching out here because I don't know what else to do. Has anyone else gone through something similar? How do you cope when someone close to you makes a choice that feels like erasing your history? How do you find a way to forgive and move forward without losing what's left? I want to hold on to the good parts of my family, to honor Grandpa's legacy in some way, even if the metals are gone. I just don't know how yet. Thanks for listening. If you like this video, please subscribe for more.